Alright guys, today we're going to talk about something that gets often not talked about enough. Now we're going to be talking about pumping up backstage, the importance of it, what to pump up and what not to pump up backstage, some of the movements I've found to be anecdotally better over others when it comes to getting pumped up, and just what you're looking for in the first place and why you're getting pumped up backstage. First and foremost, I must say this and stress it. It is very important to understand that whatever you do feel pumps you up, that's going to be different for every single person. All right. So you might find that one movement gets you more pumped than another movement. Somebody else might find one movement that gets them pumped more than another movement. There's no right or wrong answer. That's what I'm trying to stress here. So I'm going to be giving you my opinions based on anecdotal evidence from what I've experienced and what I've seen. But again, if you find a movement that you prefer or that you like, there's nothing wrong with it. All right, I need to stress the importance of that, because again, when it comes to something like this, it's a very subjective matter. There is no black or white. So let's start off by talking about this. All right, we really want to understand why we're pumping up, how muscles respond when they have blood flow inside of them once they start getting pumped up, and then of course we need to figure out exactly what exercises to perform backstage with the minimal equipment that they give us in order to best get blood into the muscles that we want in order to look our best. All right, we're going to start talking about what not to pump up as a way to begin this discussion, because I find more often than not people end up pumping up things that may not respond well to it, may not respond at all to the exercise, or may not need to be pumped up before going on stage. Now, people will have their own opinions on this matter, but legs, getting them pumped up is something that I find to be an absolute waste of time backstage. Now again, people are going to argue with this, and again, it's very subjective, but when's the last time you did a leg workout and really held and maintained a pump, a visible size difference that also aided in viewing separation and definition in the muscle when you were doing legs? This doesn't often happen. Now obviously, the leaner you get, once you do get a pump, it's going to look good. Yes, that is correct. But I must stress this, performing squats and any other kind of lunge or leg work backstage seems to be counterproductive to actually displaying the muscle of the leg in general on stage. Now what I've noticed is that you maintain a little bit more overall inflammation or watery appearance when you get a leg pump, so you lose separation. Now if you're somebody who's very lean, try this out sometime. Do a lot of squats, maybe to failure. Do a lot of leg extensions to failure, or leg curls to failure, and see how they look in the mirror within the following minute, within the following 2 minutes, within the following 3 minutes. You don't maintain a pump the same way there in the biceps femoris as you do, say, in the biceps in your arm. All right, there's certain muscle groups, again, that I don't feel respond the way we hope they do. And again, this is also going to be subjective. If you really feel like doing squats before going on stage is going to make your butt perkier, especially if you're a woman doing bikini or figure, by all means do it, because you're going to mentally feel good about it. But what I've noticed is that it's not going to make a very big difference in aiding in separation, striations, definition in the glutes, quads, or hamstrings by wasting your time backstage getting pumped up with the legs. Now on a tangent to that, I have noticed this. A lot of people overdo the exercises they perform backstage in hopes that they're just going to be incredibly pumped all over when they get on stage. And unfortunately, this does not always happen. All right. In fact, it rarely does. You'll see people pumping up half hour, an hour and a half before going on stage with the hopes that they're going to maintain that pump, size, and fullness when they do get on stage. Now again, when's the last time you had a bicep pump, a chest pump, your shoulders felt pumped, and then 2 hours later, you still felt that same pump? Rarely does that happen, especially for natural bodybuilders. So keep that in mind, guys. We don't want to overdo it. Now going back to what we were talking about, legs, counterproductive. I wouldn't waste my time doing them at all. If they're lean, you're going to have definition. If you know how to get set right, they're going to look fantastic on stage, and you're not going to have to worry about pumping them up. Abdominals. There's another one that you do not want to pump up or even attempt to try to manipulate when you're getting ready to go on stage. Now, some people, I kid you not, have actually done, laying down sit-ups to pump up their midsection before going on stage. This is one of those muscle groups that I've never in my entire life felt pumped from doing. All right, I can understand where people would have the erroneous train of thought where they would think, okay, I'm going to pump them up and they're going to pop out and they're going to look fantastic on stage. Never once have I seen that to be effective. Again, most of the time when it comes to working the midsection in the first place, it's all so that you mentally feel better about your midsection and how you look. It feels great to be sore in the midsection, fantastic feeling. But again, we want to make sure we don't waste our time backstage. And trying to pump up your midsection is a waste of time backstage. Now, moving on to things that you want to apply to how to pump up properly backstage, let's talk about the tempo of whatever movement you are going to perform. Fast-paced tempo will undoubtedly result in more of a pump, a much quicker pump as well. So when you're backstage, for instance, doing push-ups, try to perform them at a higher tempo rather than a slower tempo. Same for bicep curls, higher tempo, so faster pace over a slower tempo. This inherently creates more of a pump. Now, yes, you do want the mind-to-muscle, quote-unquote, connection to get blood into the muscle, but again, perform 30 to 40 push-ups at as high of a tempo or fast of a tempo as you possibly can, and try to tell me you're not feeling pumped after that. All right, so that's one of the tricks I use backstage: fast movements, lateral raises, shoulder presses, whatever movement I'm doing, I'm going to do it at a fast-paced tempo. Okay, dips are a fantastic tricep pumping movement. All right, they help my shoulders and my triceps get very pumped and full of blood. So if you could do dips against the side of a table, maybe against the side of a chair, that's one of my go-to pump up exercises backstage. Dips and push-ups, those two go hand in hand. All right, so now we have two movements, and if we can get pull-ups in there, let's go ahead and try to do that. Try to bring a perfect pull-up bar. If possible, we'll find some kind of structure backstage, because usually it's in an auditorium where there's a stage and a lot of play stuff where people perform. A lot of times there's some kind of rigging or some kind of door handle sill sort of thing that you can do pull-ups on. Try to do pull-ups. Pull-ups are fantastic for getting a pump. All right, so now we have dips, we have pull-ups, and we have push-ups. These movements are going to be my staple go-to pump-up exercises. Now, they'll have dumbbells backstage, and so let's get some bicep curls in. Fast-paced bicep curls are fantastic. Keep the hands supinated the entire time, because that usually results in more of a pump in the bicep, because the bicep is working harder because it's at a more disadvantageous angle over an overhand grip or a neutral grip. So when it comes to the shoulders, shoulder pressing I find is a dominant shoulder development movement overall, but to get pumped up, stick with laterals. I find best pump in my shoulders is achieved through lateral work and reverse deltoid work, and that's what you want to have popping up on stage. So perform lightweight laterals and reverse flies, whatever you feel best activates your posterior deltoid, and of course just the laterals are very basic. All right, laterals, a lot of tension, a lot of reps, lightweight. That'll usually achieve the biggest pump. Don't swing the weight with the heavy dumbbells trying to get pumped up backstage. And don't waste much time doing the presses. Again, I don't find them very fulfilling when it comes to satisfying the pump before going on stage. So then when it comes to the back itself, what do we choose to pump up the back? Well, if we have the pull-up bars, again, we're doing pull-ups. But if not, we can stick with rows. The biggest issue with rows is, again, the back doesn't normally get pumped and stay pumped unless you do a lot of volume work with it. So feel free to try to do some dumbbell rows here in this area. I would suggest focusing more on the contraction, overemphasizing the arch in your back as you squeeze for a row, over trying to go heavyweight just to get pumped up for the back. I prefer that when it comes to doing rows anyway in my workouts, but backstage, in order to achieve a pump, really try to focus on that actual squeeze and contraction towards the end of the range of motion on a row, instead of just performing rows hoping for the best. All right, the back is definitely one of the hardest areas to try to get quote unquote pumped up properly. Pull-ups will help big time. So those are the movements we're going to kind of focus on. All right, so let's look back at what we have so far. We do not want to pump up our legs or our midsection unless you feel that you actually look better doing them. Again, I really want you to think about these movements and whether or not they're really doing anything, or if it's more so the mental aspect of you doing something. All right, and especially for the women, the bikini and figure competitors who are doing squats backstage trying to get their butt pumped. I don't feel the glutes maintain much of a pump the way you're hoping, and I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference on stage when really you need to be focusing on how to pose properly in the first place. All right, so what movements do we have that we do want to focus on? Okay, we want lateral raises for the shoulders and posterior deltoid works, or reverse flies for the shoulders. All right, we want dips for triceps, and we want standard bicep curls for the biceps. These are performed with high tempo or fast pace. That's usually going to achieve the quickest, best pump when you're looking to go on stage. All right, we have push-ups at the standard. I would vary the grip, go close and go wide. Close grip will get more tricep pump, and it's going to feel great. All right, and then you have pull-ups if you're able to get somewhere where you can have a bar set up or some rigging to get pull-ups in. Those are some of the best movements you're going to find to get pumped up backstage. And there you have it, guys. I hope this helps. Just giving you an insight into my own anecdotal evidence and what I've seen backstage with clients, with friends, and of course with myself. If you have any input, please feel free to leave comments, likes, whatnot. And even if you don't like it, please dislike it. Tell me why, what you think I could do better. I hope this helps. Thanks, guys.